Meantime, there's some new research this morning on menopause. Some physical symptoms are well known, of course, hot flashes, night sweats, lack of sleep. But now scientists say menopause also affects your memory. NBC's Mara Schiavocampo has the latest on this study.
Yeah, look at the article. Ma, have you been more forgetful than usual?
I don't know. Let me think.
Jokes about menopause have long been a pop culture staple.
Gloria, what did you just ask me?
But memory loss during menopause can be a real midlife crisis.
Well, my first really scary symptom was actually memory loss.
Writer and menopause advocate Ellen Dolgen runs a support group near San Diego called Menopause Mondays.
I was in a business meeting, and I all of a sudden experienced a complete brain fog. And in fact, I thought I was in the early stages of Alzheimer's.
It's more disconcerting than the hot flashes because you doubt yourself.
I make a joke out of it and say, can I call you at midnight? But it really is disturbing that I can't remember someone's name that I know really well. I'm like, oh, I have a brain fart. Is that a bad word on television?
Previous surveys found up to 62% of menopausal women reported memory problems, and women with more hot flashes seem to have more memory loss. This latest study, published in the journal Menopause, involved 68 women who had at least 35 hot flashes a week. The researchers gave them 8 different memory quizzes. They found that women who already thought they had memory lapses did in fact do poorly on the tests. Professor Pauline Mackey co-authored this study.
The majority of women say that they're experiencing memory declines, and what this study says is you're a very good judge of how good or how poor your memory is. It's important that women recognize that what they feel can be validated by scientific research, that it's not all in her head.
For the Menopause Mondays group, the new report is welcome news, but not surprising.
Tremendously validating and comforting.
It's funny to me that now there's a study. We all knew this. We could have made the study.
Researchers on this latest study say their next step is to figure out the connection between an increased number of hot flashes and memory loss in many menopausal women. For today, Mara Schiavocampo, NBC News, New York.
Dr. Rebecca Brightman is a clinical instructor of obstetrics and gynecology at the Mount Sinai School of Medicine and a member of the North American Menopause Society. Doctor, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Is this something you hear about from your patients a lot? I don't feel I have the same memory I used to, or I'm forgetting everything?
All the time, and patients come into my office for regular exams, and they always approach me and say, may I ask you a question? Something's really wrong here. I don't remember things. I'm not able to focus as clearly. Is it me? People feel really isolated. They feel like they're going through this alone.
And now this study basically validates that feeling. If nothing else, the science is saying, okay, women, you're not crazy. This is real.
It is real, and I think that a lot of people will really be comforted by the fact that actually researchers have taken this seriously. They looked at this group, albeit a small group, and really validated that the fact that women do have symptoms clearly correlates with their ability to perform on certain cognitive tests.
It sounds like the research found that those with hot flashes or severe hot flashes tended to have more memory loss. I mean, do we know that there's a connection there?
Well, the interesting thing is women who have hot flashes have trouble sleeping, and we know that sleep disturbances carry over to the following day and can interfere with one's ability to function, concentrate, learn, recall certain things. So definitely. The other thing that was interesting in this study is they actually looked at women and their depressive symptoms and anxiety, which really goes along with being perimenopausal, and these things really, really positive correlate with change in cognitive function.
It sounds like we're not clear that menopause is a direct connection to the memory loss, but maybe menopause is causing these other effects like depression or sleeplessness that have the secondary effect of the memory loss.
Well, correct. And I think that there's some age-related changes as well. I think one thing that does seem to be reassuring, not necessarily in this study, but other studies, is the fact that while women are undergoing some concerning feelings while they're making this transition, when they're done with menopause and they're postmenopausal, menopausal, there tends to be a return to baseline, and I think that that's really reassuring.
You know, one thing I've heard a lot from young moms as well is that they feel that they lose their memory. They call it momnesia, or they feel more forgetful. Is there any correlation here, or are these just two different things?
Well, in general, we always consider them to be two different things, but I actually think they very well may have some overlap, because during pregnancy there are all sorts of hormonal changes, and the same is true with being perimenopausal and in fact menopausal. And in both stages of one's lives there are hormonal fluctuations. They play a role with sleep deprivation and mood changes. So I do think that there tends to be some correlation.
And while we're on the subject of menopause, I mean, sometimes people think that that applies only to much older women, but in fact these symptoms can often start in your 40s. And what kind of symptoms are you most likely to see first?
Well, the interesting thing is women can still have regular menstrual periods. They're considered perimenopausal for up to 8 years before their final menstrual period, which defines menopause. So it's not unusual for me in my practice to see women in their early 40s complain of issues sleeping, issues with memory recall, inability to concentrate. So I do think there's a whole spectrum. And while the study looked at women who were age 44 through 62, clearly women have these symptoms in their 40s, and I think that they should be reassured that they're not alone.
Always good to talk to your doctor if you've got some of these concerns.
Absolutely.
All right, Dr. Rebecca Brightman, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we'll send it over to Matt.
All right, Savannah, thank you.